guys, I am pissed. I am so pissed. I can't even think straight. Okay guys, I'm gonna talk about my NZXT experience. This might be a warning to everybody that is considering buying an NZXT pre-built, and what experience that you might have if you have any issues with your system whatsoever. So I bought an NZXT streaming computer in July of 2020. I think the pre-builts hadn't been out that long. And it was the first time after the pandemic began where people were really starting to see a rise in individual part costs. And so for the first time, it kind of made sense to go ahead and just get yourself a pre-built because it costs about the same or almost a little bit cheaper during that time than actually ordering all your individual parts. That was right after the release of the 3000 series NVIDIA cards, which is kind of when shit hit the fan in terms of parts around the world. So yeah, I had the pre-built for about a year and it ran perfect. It was a Ryzen 7 3700X. It had an RTX 2070 Super, 16 gigs of memory, and I believe it was on a Tomahawk B450 motherboard. So back in August, I started experiencing some general issues with my Windows 10. One of the biggest issues with that would be that applications would randomly crash, and my taskbar just never worked on startup. Never worked. Took about 5 minutes to get it going. It pissed me off to no belief because no matter what I did, I couldn't fix it. And then I downloaded Valorant. I'm not really sure if this is the root cause of the issue or if there's something going on in my Windows 10 system. And you know, downloading Valorant and having Vanguard on my PC was just kind of the perfect storm. But my computer suddenly started experiencing blue screens of death when I played Valorant. It was few and far between, but it was becoming more and more consistent. And then not only would I experience blue screens of death, but shortly after, the computer would completely crash to no power. So after a while, I uninstalled Valorant, I uninstalled Vanguard, you know, made sure to wipe that from every fucking nook and cranny of my computer. Who knows if I actually got every one of those files off of that thing. But I feel like the damage had been done. Again, don't know if it was actually Valorant related or if there was just something going on in my system or my hardware. And so yeah, now no matter what I did, after I started up my computer, if I started up any sort of game, my PC would crash, not to blue screen, but just cut power completely. I reached out to a lot of friends. They suggested that it's probably the power supply. I have a ton of peripherals running on my streaming setup, so maybe, you know, there was just too much going on for my setup on a 600 watt PSU from NZXT, and so I ordered a Corsair 850 watt, you know, gold standard, whatever the hell that means. And we replaced it in the system, and that didn't help at all. So at this point, I put in an RMA ticket with NZXT, and the first experience that I had with them was pretty good. They reached out. They're pretty slow to reach out by email, so if you can get on their chat service, I would start out with that, and then they'll open a ticket for you, and so at least you're directly speaking to somebody instead of waiting for somebody to email you back. But I live in the Midwest, and they said that they would take the PC and, you know, run it for issues and try to repair it, and so they sent me a kit to properly package up the PC and send it back to them safely. So that actually took about 2 weeks to receive that package. And then it took a couple days to get the PC from the Midwest over to California. And they didn't have the PC very long. It was kind of a quick turnaround on their end. But I would say between all the shipping and everything, it took about 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks from the moment I opened my ticket to the moment I got the PC back on the first run through to get my system back. So after I got the PC back, I realized that there was no repair like notes or ticket or anything in the box, which I thought was really strange. And I started to realize that, wait, they do a third-party, I'm pretty sure, customer service company called Zendesk. And so you're not actually talking to customer service representatives that work for NZXT. They reach out to the technicians on their own, and they never give you any formal information that NZXT sends them, like at all. And so the only thing that I got in a little email was that they replaced the motherboard and the RAM, and they ran through their tests and everything was good. So I started up the PC, again, had some weird Windows 10 issues, and, you know, re-downloaded everything that I needed to, got everything up and going, and downloaded Valorant again, and it just immediately had issues again. Same exact thing, crashing, whatnot. I was mad. It was getting to the point where I was having a hard time. It wouldn't post every time I rebooted it. And when I sent it back to them, again, you know, this took probably another 2 weeks for them to get this. It apparently wouldn't like post or turn on at all like when they got it. So at that point, they replaced the CPU. They changed it from a Ryzen 7 3700X to a Ryzen 5 5600X and sent it back. And when I got it back, I had coil line that I did not have before with my GPU. And every game that I played spiked the CPU usage and GPU usage to 100%. So I'm reaching out over their texting application on their support site, and the guy's telling me that I can send it out a third time, but if I do that, they're just going to initiate a refund because they don't replace PCs. Which really made me mad, because looking at the way they respond to people on Twitter and looking at their Reddit, their subreddit, that's not true. So I was mad. I took to Twitter and I was like, hey, at NZXT, to my friends, I would not recommend buying a pre-built from them at this point, because to my understanding, if they can give you a refund, they're going to do that, because when I purchased the PC last year, it was much cheaper. It was much cheaper then than what the same sort of system would be today. Plus, they don't have all the parts available, you know, for a last generation NVIDIA card, for example, or a last generation CPU. And so it would cost them a lot more to replace the PC. And I was upset because, okay, if I get a refund, that means I'm not gonna be able to get the same quality parts that I got previously, which at this point I don't even know are quality because they're failing over and over and over again on a simple game like Valorant, which we have a spare PC that's basically can't really run anything but very minor games, and it runs Valorant just fine. And so they reached out to me on Twitter because of the tweet that I sent out, and they said, hey, can we look into this for you? And so I gave them my repair ticket numbers. I had like 3 of them. And then I got a response the next day saying like they'll send it out again and just replace everything. And I was so excited. And so I sent it out. This was the 3rd time. It's been, you know, it had been about 2 months just going back and forth with NZXT and not having a system that works. And so yesterday I just got it back for the 3rd time. It was a pretty quick turnaround this time around because they expedited my shipping, and it is a new system. It came in a completely new box. It's a different motherboard. I believe it's a Gigabyte 550B. They replaced it with a 3070 Ti, which, I mean, like, right out of the box I was freaking out. 16 gigs of RAM, and then another Ryzen 5 5600X, and I booted it up and it's having the same Windows issues. I don't know what's going on. My only thought at this point is that they're using an image to image Windows 10 onto all their pre-builts, and there's something wrong with it. My taskbar doesn't work, and So that's where I'm at right now. It was really frustrating. You pretty much have to pester and bother NZXT, or I should say Zendesk, to get, you know, what you want, which is what your warranty is, for them to actually do anything at this point. So that was very frustrating because my warranty did say that I could get a replacement for 2 years, and they weren't going to do that. They were going to try to refund me. So yeah, I would be careful buying a pre-built. At this point, I still have to troubleshoot a bunch of things. I don't really know what's wrong with it still. Worst case scenario at this point, I'm just gonna pull the 3070 out of it and maybe try a different system. I'm very fortunate that they did replace the parts, but again, there's still issues with it, and I don't know how to reach out to them and get them resolved. I know pre-builts right now are pretty much the only way that you can get certain parts closer to MSRP and not completely just overly priced by individual sellers. And so some people are buying pre-builts just to get the GPUs in them. I would just be careful. Every manufacturer right now, or any company that's putting together pre-builts, you know, they're still going through a lot in terms of, you know, what the stock looks like, reaching out to manufacturers and getting parts. And so they're gonna do a lot to cut corners and save a lot of money if they can. And so just be prepared to make sure that they follow their warranty. And that's all I'm gonna say on that at this point. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that you would want to know. Probably not. But yeah, I really want to stream again, and I think I probably can get away with streaming some games, but I won't be downloading Valorant. It is kind of malware at this point. I feel like with certain systems, it just corrupts a lot of the drivers, even though that they claim to fix a lot of it. And I know most of my friends don't have issues, but I have had issues on every NZXT system that they've sent me, because at this point they've sent me multiple iterations of their systems, and then they completely rebuilt it, and it still has issues. So I would just be aware of that. That's it, guys. I'm gonna try to cut this down. They say hi to Jackal.